Hey everyone, in this video I'm going to bring you along in my journey of my 3D printed shoes. I'm giving up. I'm giving up on my 3D printed shoe here because two reasons. One, it failed, and two, I used the wrong filament. Or actually I was just printing this and I used the PLA, not the flex filament. And so it's really almost impossible to get the filament, the support out of the toe there. So I'm just gonna scrap this one and maybe donate it to someone who likes half a shoe. Yeah, anybody want that? Attempt of my 3D printed shoe. Not exactly sure what happened here, but as it got about 2/3 the way done, it disoriented itself and then started printing off to the side. As you can see, the heel and the foot there. So I'm gonna have to try it again. Okay, let's start with the first one. This one is PLA filament. As you can see, it's hard plastic. Here's an example of before it's on the printer. It doesn't flex at all. My main objective here was just to print a shoe to see how far I could get. As you can see, it stopped about 3/4 of the way, and I immediately ditched it and wanted to move on to the filament. The main lesson I learned here though was that there's a ton of support in the middle here. You can see to support the top of the shoe. So I learned that the entry point is just to start with the flip-flop, because you don't have as much of a product on the side and on the top. And so it'd be just much easier to print a flip-flop. So threw this away, moved on to the flex filament. But hey, it looks like it has potential. Here's the flex filament. As you can see, very stretchy and pliable. So I got this on Amazon for about $20 and started to print. And the first one I printed was good thing it bounces. First thing I printed was the cat that comes with the Creality CR10. That's my printer. And as you can see, it's squishy, it's bendable, and it printed. So that was a huge success. Moving on, I found a design on Thingiverse inspired by the Birkenstocks. I printed this. It's called Patch and Stock. And as you can see, it's flexible. So this has potential. I did a small size and it worked. Success too. A small version of the shoe. What I did differently here was print it without support, and it actually seems to be printing just fine, but it takes half as much filament. So now I think I can print without a support. No, it was not a good idea. Then I got more ambitious and printed the entire size of the bed, and I got about this far. As you can see, I got the sole, and then it stopped. It started jamming up in the extruder. So I looked on the things online. There was a few things to try. There's 3 things. Number 1 is slow the feed rate down. Number 2 is change retraction on the stepper motor. Number 3 is to put in a new extruder. I tried slowing down the feed rate. Try to change the feed rate from 100 down to 75. Let's see if that helps. I tried changing the setting of retraction, what retraction does. If you consider 2 objects on a print bed or an object far and close, the nozzle has to go from one side to the other, it has to travel, then it'll retract back in there. Well, if you have flexible, it bends and it gets stuck. So if you turn that off, it just continues to extrude. And in this case, it's one solid print, so I removed that setting. In the software Cura, if you go over here, after you import your file, over here on the right, you have print setup and settings. If you go down to enable retraction and uncheck it, you can see here, it retracts the filament when nozzle is moving over a non-printed area. So I unchecked that and then began the print. It got a ways. It stopped here about the toe. As you can see down here, a few hours ago, it was printing nothing because what happened is filament got stuck in the extruder.
You see here. So we're gonna try our fix for this, and look at all this filament unraveled.
I got this far and it failed again. So I changed the extruder and started a new print. But during that new print, I thought about the design and I realized it wasn't quite what I was looking for, because I had purchased this LED strip with a 9-volt battery and a controller. It's really fun and low tech. What you do is you turn it on and you have different color options. You can flash, strobe, fade, smooth. A lot of fun there. And my plan was to put it all the way and wrap it around the shoe. And the controller, they just stick out and they cause too much. It's not the design I was looking for. Here is the new extruder. Here's the old extruder. And basically the only difference is there's a hole bigger. The maker customized the hole to make it bigger. And then took a piece of filament from the printer that it comes with and put it right in here between, you can't really see here, but put it in between the two motors. So it essentially prevented slack when it pushed back into the stepper motors or into the pulleys. It prevented the slack from occurring. So I printed that, put in the tube, and away we went. On to the next print.
We're going to watch the extruder and see if it bunches up here. So it'll take probably a couple passes for us to find out.
Then the worst thing ever happened.
As you can see, what happened here was it seems that the nozzle got caught on the, looks like maybe the clip drug the toe of the shoe onto itself and then started to blob in place. And let's take a look at the nozzle set assembly. I don't know if I'm gonna be able to get that out of there. We're gonna give it a shot. Otherwise, might have to order a new assembly for about $50. Assembly off. It is really gummed up in there, so we'll see if we can get that off. The nozzle set assembly, I don't even know how it was possible to keep extruding, because you can see from the nozzle is just completely covered, and then it just kept backing up. I probably let this run for 5 or 6 hours before I caught it, and it just kept running. Good thing this wasn't a fire hazard. Let me know if this has happened to you before and if it is potentially hazardous.
This I 3D printed, but I wanted to incorporate the electronics engineering inside of the shoe. Still a little bit bigger than I wanted. But if you look inside of it, you have 3 parts. You have the NeoPixel ring, you have the Gemma, and you have a LiPo battery. Pretty small, but I think we can get smaller. So what I would like to do is I found a Gemma case on Thingiverse, and Adafruit also makes called a NeoPixel Jewel. So look at the side and then put that in this case and then make this a clear built into the shoe, and look at the size difference. Much smaller, and that should fit on a shoe. What I came up with was a shoe for my daughter. I printed out her size, toddler size 9, and the new material, new design, and I'm much happier with it. So this is my first test print. As you can see, very pliable, and we're gonna have her test it out. I've yet to make the full adult size shoe. I also would like to print this inside of the shoe itself. So stay tuned for part 2, where I make a larger one with the NeoPixel Jewel sandal. That's it. I hope you enjoyed this journey. Let me know if you've had some of these challenges or if you would like to take it on. I'd love to hear your story. Comment on the video. I hope this inspires you to 3D print. Cheers!